What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another edition of Comic Book Flashback. I'm Marl the Cross 316, and today we are looking at the Incredible Hulk, issue number 2. This issue came out in July of 1962, and today we are looking at the first appearance of the Toadmen as we continue the series, and we also are looking at the cover here, and we see that the Hulk skin is actually green, the classic green Hulk that we all know and love. And so, what's interesting is that when they were putting the color on this issue, they accidentally put green on the Hulk skin instead of gray, like in issue number 1. And then when Stan looked at the issue, he's like, huh, I actually do like Hulk skin being green. He actually looks like a monster. And so that's how they stuck with the green Hulk. So that's your little trivia fact of the day. But let's go ahead and dive into today's story. As always, this is brought to you by Stan the Man Lee as well as Jack Kirby here. And so let's go ahead now and get on into today's story. Today's story is titled The Terror of the Toadmen. And so, who are the Toadmen? We're going to find all this out as we dive on into today's story. A classic splash page right here. I do love how Jack Kirby drew this issue here. I mean, Hulk definitely looks more like a monster in this issue than he did in issue number 1. I can tell you that. He definitely has some features that look like the Frankenstein monster, so the Mary Shelley Frankenstein monster. And so now let's go ahead and get started. And just forgive me for all these ads that pop up. I'm using this website that has all these comics on here, and I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of them, but they just continue to pop up. But I don't think it will distract too much with the story. And so one thing that's going on as we start out the story here is we had the Hulk here, and he is being sighted by a couple of pedestrians here, and right off the bat he's starting to just cause all this mayhem in the streets here. And the only person, as we will see, that can cause Hulk to calm down is Rick Jones. And then here's a little bit of a summary if you missed the last issue. We see how Bruce Banner became the Hulk here, as we see that he was caught in a gamma ray explosion trying to save the life of Rick Jones. And then, as we see, whenever nightfall comes, Bruce Banner turns into the Incredible Hulk. And so that is basically a summation of last issue. Now we're going to be worrying about the threat of an alien invasion called the Toadmen, and will Hulk be able to stop the Toadmen? We come to find out here that the Toadmen are trying to take over the Earth, just like any other alien race, but they have this technology here, this magnetic grapplers, and by using these magnetic grapplers, they're going to be able to locate the most smartest person on Earth, and lo and behold, that smartest man on Earth is Dr. Bruce Banner. So we see that Bruce Banner and Rick Jones, they're using all the scientific equipment, and they're stopped here by Thunderbolt General Ross here and his daughter Betty Ross, as we learned from last issue, who has a big crush on Dr. Banner here. And we see here that Bruce Banner and Rick Jones tell them that they're using this equipment for scientific research. But that is not really what they're doing here, as we kind of find out that Dr. Banner and Rick Jones have decided that they need to close off the Hulk from society. Whenever Bruce Banner turns into the Hulk, they need to find a way to stop the Hulk from menacing society. So what better way than to place this 10-foot thick wall of granite here, and whenever Bruce Banner is about to turn into the Hulk, when nightfall comes, we see that Rick Jones is going to put Hulk, or basically put Bruce Banner in this little prison here, so that Hulk cannot threaten society here. But all of a sudden, as they're looking at all this going on, and Rick Jones saying, "Are you really going to do this for the rest of your life?" They're interrupted here by again this magnetic disruption here is coming from the Toadmen. And so the Toadmen here are going to actually kidnap Bruce Banner and Rick Jones. And they're brought into the Toadmen ship here. And they're free falling basically, as we see here. And we see that the Toadmen are going to tell Rick Jones and Bruce Banner all about who they are and what their main mission is. As we see right here, they have the power to empty all of the Earth's ocean as well as cause the feet of human beings to stay on the ground. And they see here that they're threatening Bruce Banner and basically saying, "Tell us all of your secrets." Bruce Banner refuses. Rick Jones congratulates him, and then they hurl Rick Jones back to Earth here. Yeah, but he lands safely here. As nightfall comes, we see that Bruce Banner turns into the Hulk, and now we see that the Hulk has a whole different perspective on the Toadmen rather than Bruce Banner, as we see that the Hulk hates mankind, as we saw from last issue, and he's going to use the Toadman's spaceship so that he can try to eliminate all of mankind. So, right off the bat, we see that the Hulk is more menacing, he's more brutish, and he hates mankind here. And so, as we see, the General Thunderbolt Ross gets an alert here that there is a spaceship that is located in the Earth's atmosphere and they are going to take it down. We see that Rick Jones tries to alert them, but of course that is not going to happen. And so we see here that the whole Toadman ship is struck with that missile, and we go into part 3 as the army men are rummaging through the pile of mess here. We see that they come across Bruce Banner. They think that Bruce Banner this entire time was setting up an attack against his own countrymen here. And we see that the Toadmen are going to escape through a hole within the ship while the army men are searching the rest of the ship here. They alert the king, their own king here, signaling an attack to Earth. And so, as we see, as Bruce Banner is locked in his own cell, we see a fleet of incredible ships here that are going to try to invade the Earth here. And so, right off the bat, the King Toad, that's who his name is, he is going to tell the Earthlings here in part 4 that he has the power to move the moon into the Earth's atmosphere and get it so close to the Earth that it causes all of these coastal cities and all this destruction to the Earth. And so this is really not good, as the Toadmen have this power. And so the only person that's going to be able to stop this is the Incredible Hulk. Now, how in the world, as we see here, Incredible Hulk, how is he going to do this? Because all he thinks about is destruction. We'll soon find out. As we continue the story here, Hulk is on a rampage. We see that he kidnaps Betty Ross. So that just angers General Thunderbolt Ross and causes more division here, as Thunderbolt Ross already hated the Hulk to begin with. We saw that there was a Fantastic Four #5 ad there. Pretty cool. And so we see in part 5, as we get to part 5, the army men are trying their best to just defeat the Hulk, but as we see, the Hulk is unstoppable, and the Hulk then gets away here. And so we see that Rick Jones is going to follow closely by. He tries to stop the Hulk, but all of a sudden, as they are in commotion, the moon continues to reach closer and closer to the Earth, and it causes the sun to come up, and that changes Hulk back to Bruce Banner. We see that Bruce Banner then picks up Betty Ross, who is still unconscious, puts her on a bed so that she won't learn the dangerous secret of Bruce Banner being the Hulk. We see that Bruce Banner then comes to his senses and says, "You know what? I can use my gamma ray gun, and that will cause all these fleets of alien ships to go back to their mothership." And so that is exactly what we do, and we see that the army men are trying to barge right in to stop Bruce Banner. because they think that Bruce Banner is still a traitor. And lo and behold, the gamma ray gun actually works. It causes all these fleets of ship to go back to the mothership, and now the Toad Men have been defeated here. And so we see as we end the issue here, Thunderbolt Ross is still suspicious about Bruce Banner. He thinks that there is a connection between him and the Hulk. And then we see in the last panel of the story, Hulk is contained in this 10-foot thick wall, and we see that Rick Jones is going to have to stay there for the night until the morning comes. And so I hope you like this issue. It's a pretty unique issue. I always love looking back to these old issues of comic books back in the Marvel Silver Age. Hope you like issue number 2. Next time we're going to be looking at issue number 3. I hope that I will see you there as we continue this series. Before we look at issue number 3, go ahead and like this video. Comment down below what you liked about this video. And as always, keep reading comics.